Hi, I'm Kerry from Mind Over Matter Project Suicide Prevention and Awareness. So we deal with a lot of mental health and the problems that are coming around mental health. And we're here to discuss this vaccine with a few volunteers to give us their real, true reflection of how they feel. First, I want to show you a video that I received that we received this morning, and it's quite scary and alarming. So here it goes. Just have to show you. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to show you this. And
Hi, I am a registered nurse in Nashville, Tennessee, and my name is Kalila Mitchell. I'm reaching out to everyone about the COVID-19 vaccination. I recently took the COVID-19 vaccination. After the shot, I felt fine, but within 3 days, I went to the doctor because I had problems with my face. The whole left side of my face, actually. I have Bell palsy now. And as you can see, I can't smile. I'm trying to smile. It's kind of embarrassing for me. But I just want everyone to know that I think this vaccination is the worst thing ever. And I would not give this to anybody, even my worst enemy. Please, America, they do not care about us. Do not take this vaccination. Hi.
so that's stuck now. Okay, so that's the vaccine. What do you think about that video?
I've got several friends with Bell's palsy. So
Can you explain what it is then, please?
it's like it looks like you've had a stroke, and it's your nerves in one side of your face and it drops. And I've got one friend, she's had it for many years, and then I've had another friend who had it, and then it disappears. It can repair itself, and Bell's palsy can be caused by stress and other things, but whether it's related to the vaccine, that's not been proven. She could have had Bell's palsy without even having the vaccine. You know what I mean? We haven't got enough data, I think, after the vaccine's been rolled out to say whether there is any side effects so, you know, serious as causing Bell's palsy. I'm sure you can go onto the MHRA or anywhere to see any data from any other, like, reaction. Sorry. Right, out please, I'm on a meeting. Out please. Peter Rabbit on. You can go to the data for the MHRA, and people that have had the vaccine can report adverse effects with drugs. I used to work in the pharmacy industry myself, so we used to do all the reporting through the MHRA. So I can't see there's any scientific connection with the Bell's palsy. Would I have the vaccine? Not just yet. I think I personally would wait at least 12 months before I would consider having the vaccine. I am part of the Oxford University research. I have swabs every month. I'm now going to a blood test to see whether I've got the antibody. If I actually naturally have the antibody, because my foster daughter tested positive and I didn't contract it in the household living with her. So, you know, it's skeptical whether it's transmitted. So, you know, I am quite skeptical, but not jumping in for the vaccine.
That was really good overall points of view. How do you say this word again? Good evening, guys. We just showed a little video at the very beginning of the lady that I don't know if you saw the
claims
of the video, and she had had the vaccine. She stated that she had the vaccine, and that the left side of her face is now dropped with, what's it called?
30 days ago.
Yeah, but the vaccine didn't come out then.
There you go.
She said, didn't she not say she had it 3 days ago? Or,
I thought she said 30 days ago.
I thought it was 3 days ago, and then after the 3-day period, that's when her face
Right.
dropped. No, I could be wrong.
Maybe I misunderstood her.
I thought it was.
If she said 30 days, I don't think it was available 30 days ago.
No.
Of course it was.
Not to the NHS. It was, you know.
Yeah,
Okay,
she's not in
and-
this
and-
country anyway.
and this-
in that country. No, the one that they're sending her around. She's not in this country, is she?
The video in question
Is American.
Yeah, that was in America. Yeah,
She's America, yeah. So it has been out. The vaccine has been out.
Oh, right. But there's no scientific proof that she's got Bell's palsy because of the vaccine. Bell's palsy is so common. It can happen at anybody's stage of life through stress, through other things. And there's no connection, I don't think, with the vaccine.
It's about laying out, you know, their theories, aren't they? They're people's theories and speculations, and whether or not it's related or not related. And this is where we're at, you know. We have choices to have to be made somewhere along the line, and this is something food for thought. How quick people are going in to get this vaccine, how quick they are. We had a lady here in the UK who had her first vaccine and then updated the vaccine.
She's had the booster now.
Can you just tell us a little bit more about that? Can you explain that, what happened in relation to this lady taking the first vaccine live on TV, and then she was due to have a second batch? Is that correct?
Yeah, that was yesterday, I believe. The lady took the second shot. It comes in 2 stages. So again, it's been about a week and a half between the 2 doses. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. So far, doesn't seem to have given her any side effects that we know about, but then they've not come forward and said she's had any difficulty with anything in relation to do with having the second vaccine. Also, it's important to note as well that there are 2 different vaccines. So the first one, which I believe is the Pfizer vaccine,
Pfizer.
is the one where you have to have the 2 shots, which is what this lady, 91-year-old lady, had yesterday, in the second shot. And literally just today, they've just announced that the is it Oxford
University.
Yeah, Oxford University, and I think it's called Oxford Zeneca.
AstraZeneca.
AstraZeneca, that's it. Has just been approved today, so they should be rolling that out by the 4th of January 2021, which I've just literally, before I joined you guys, just been listening to Boris's message with his scientists and all the rest of it. There is issues about whether or not the kids should go back to school, and whether you take the vaccine, will you be allowed to do, you know, your normal stuff, whereas people who haven't had the vaccine.
I ain't sending mine back to school.
They want to put some mass testing in place in the schools before they go back. They want to test in the schools to keep, obviously, the schools safe. That's where my foster daughter caught it, in school, because she doesn't leave the house, only to go to school.
Right.
And to have no symptoms and test positive as part of the Oxford University study, then, you know, I know she caught it in school.
Right.
I didn't catch it from her. I've never tested positive. My next, obviously, appointment where they come to the house is I will give a blood sample to see if I've got the antibody. I suppose many people may have the antibody. We don't know. Your actual makeup of your body, all your factors in your bloods are all different, you know, and they do many different things. So people with conditions could react differently to somebody with no conditions, and I think that's where COVID has attacked those with certain conditions to those that haven't got a condition.
There's no proof of that either.
Susan, give us your point of view about.
Oh, hello.
Hello, my love.
Um,
What's your point of view? How you feel? I'll get to
well,
you.
how I feel is I certainly won't be sending my child back to school. That's number one. They can test as much as they want to test. Mine ain't going to school. Until it's all over, and they can, if they're going to tell us that we can be on the lockdown, but your child can still go to school, makes no sense to me.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all, because you don't know.
Just I think it was about, I think it was last week before they broke up, I got a call from my son's school. They have a bubble, and I was really trusting this. Trust me, I was really trusting their bubble. And it so happens that a child in his school that he actually sits next to had COVID-19. This is what they said. So they ring me on the Tuesday, I think, no, the Wednesday, saying to me, oh, I'm going to need to come and pick up my son. My heart dropped, because that meant that was going to lock down my whole of my household. Nobody can come over for Christmas, no nothing. So what happened was, lucky for naughty children sometimes, he was actually in isolation on that day. The day when he was supposed to be sitting next to the child.
Right.
So thank God that he was in isolation. So it meant that suddenly, so the school realized that he was in isolation. And so whenever I could hear the next teacher that came in and said, no, Theo's okay, because he was actually in isolation. He wasn't with the child. So I thought, well, look at that. How that could have just locked down my whole household. So for me, I don't trust it. I'm in my 50s. I'm 57 years old. I've never been called by the National Health Service to come and get a flu jab, let alone to get vaccine. So I certainly wouldn't be doing it. I don't even want to be vaccinated. They've never called me for flu jab before. And I do believe that before we even went into lockdown, the first lockdown back in February, March, I believe that I might have had it before then.
A lot of people do. A lot of people have had a really bad bout of flu that knocks you down, keeps you in bed, but we've dealt with it. And again, it's that how many statistics, if you look at last year or the year before, how many died of flu to how many are dying of the new COVID, and nobody's dying of flu anymore. They've just labelled it COVID. And, you know, this is my argument that all them people would possibly have died from an influenza, but because people are now testing positive, there's people that have had a bad flu, treated it as a flu, but it could have been COVID, and their bodies have coped with it, and we've, you know, dosed up on vitamin C and paracetamol as advised, but we never took the test to say it's COVID. So it's all the statistics that I'm interested in. Is the number of deaths this year the same number of deaths last year and the year before that and the year before that? Or is it a slight increase on deaths through influenza, pneumonia? These are all the things that people died of before it was tagged as COVID-19. People died of pneumonia. People died of influenza. You know, it was out there and we knew about it. And you can catch the flu. It's a viral, you know, the flu is catchable. You can catch a cold.
Absolutely. And I
agree.
You
know that you can't catch a cold from going out with wet hair. A cold is a viral infection, so hair wet. The old tale of don't go out with your hair wet, you'll catch your death of cold. It's not true. Cold is a viral infection, so you can't get it through having wet hair.
No, absolutely. And I totally agree with that, because the virus needs a body to live in.
It's not going to happen to me, is it?
How do you?
But I do think that you know, if people did the homework and looked at statistical medical results of, you know, years past of other illnesses such as pneumonia and flu, and then add them two together, I'll probably give you the figure that we've got this year. It's just that it's been highlighted. Nobody tells us how many died from flu last year and through pneumonia. Never been documented.
No,
They
which is
said
very true.
They said
But something I'm a bit disturbed by is that why is it that it's got a get out clause?
The vaccine.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
There's no compensation if anything happens to you through the vaccine.
I'm not taking nothing that is telling me that if anything happens.
I think you'll find that that's on most medicines.
Yeah,
I think
side effects. There's all side effects.
There's all side effects recorded with the MHRA.
So how much?
We know that, right? So if you're somebody that doesn't take no medication at all, I'm one of these people who don't take nothing. I do not go to my doctors for nothing. So if the National Health Service was to call me, I'm saying basically don't send and call for me, because I don't come to you guys for nothing.
I think it's down to individuals, isn't it, if you want to take it or not?
Absolutely.
I think I'd take it eventually.
I've got a friend named Martin Kenyon. You must have heard about Martin Kenyon. He's been on the news. Now, what people don't understand, he's 91 years old. Martin is super, and when I mean super, fit. He's even fitter than me at 57. I know Martin, I know his diet, everything, super fit. He can afford to go and take the vaccine. And he don't call it a vaccine, he calls it
inoculation.
Inoculation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he is completely different. He's nobody for them to compare to. You can't compare to Martin Kenyon. If you know that man, you cannot compare to him. Me, who's younger than Martin, cannot compare to Martin.
I think we have a very skeptical view as well, because I don't know anybody close to me that has suffered or, you know, died from this COVID
Well,
thing.
I have. I lost my best friend this year. And
So
they said
are you
she
a
died of
believer that there is something there?
They said she died of COVID-19.
I think
They
you
said
can
that
get
her
hit by
mother
a bus
died. Her
when you've
mum
died
died
of
as well.
COVID-19.
She and her mother died. So for me, I can't say that it's not true, because I know that I had my friend, and I know that up until the 15th of March, I think was the 16th, 17th of March was my last communication with her. And I said to her, she said, Sue, I don't know what it is, but I'm still not well. And I said, what do you mean you're not well? Next minute I know she's gone to the hospital and she's just not come out.
But then on the flip side, if COVID wasn't out there, do you think her and her mother would have died of an illness that
at the
was
same
just
time?
Down? Yeah, because it's not uncommon. Yeah,
days apart.
Yeah,
3 days apart.
It could have been something else, but it's been labelled. There is people that die in households very close together. It's not unheard of.
They're not in the same household.
Ladies, there's other people here as well. There's
Sorry.
Farasai was ill. Is that correct, Farasai? You'll have to unmute your mic, love.
Yeah, I honestly, to be honest with you, COVID-19, I think it's there. I believe it's there. I had it. And how I survived, I have no idea. I've lost so many friends to it. And I think the issue here is, fine, there's theories about it being maybe created for a purpose that I can believe. I think it's just like, you know, when HIV started, people were saying, oh, it doesn't exist. It's just, they're just trying to do this and that and that and that. And my belief is maybe the the virus was introduced for whatever purposes that they introduced it for, but COVID-19 is there. I've heard, before I went back to work, I was tested for antibodies, and I don't actually know the technical words they used, but yeah, they did agree that it seemed like I had had it, because I didn't get tested for it. I refused to go to hospital when I had it. I just had another blood test done yesterday for antibodies, because since then, this is like end of February into March, since then I haven't been able to recover my health. I'm in bed on and off since then. And when people say, oh, I'm not going to wear masks, I'm not going to do all these things, I don't know. I can't really tell people what to do, but personally, I am taking the precautions. If I do catch it again, if it's not necessary, I don't think using the precautions is going to kill me. So I'd rather do that than be safe, because I do not wish even my worst enemy to go through what I went through February, March. I don't, honestly. And as for the vaccine, I'm not in a rush to take it. And that's because personally I have a lot of allergies. I react to probably 99% of any medication I've ever been given. I have allergic reactions to. So I'm one of those people, because they did say
You
that
probably, if you've got that, you probably wouldn't actually be able to take it then, would you?
Now,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They have said if you have allergies, you won't be. Actually, my medical record will show so many medications I've been allergic to, but COVID-19 is there. Where it came from, whether it was human created or not, I don't know, but it's there.
Can I say? Oh, sorry, Jay. Go on. You've been waiting for a while, Jay. You wanted to say something.
Yeah. All I wanted to add, right, I believe COVID-19 is here as well, and then the reason for it, I work on the railway. I work for London Overground. I've had a couple of colleagues that's gone down with it. I'm also a health and safety rep, so we have a chart to see the amount of people that catches it. As well, my wife, she's gone over to Grenada because she's lost an uncle for 4 weeks. But at the moment, we're going through the process that my mother-in-law's got COVID-19. She's actually in hospital right now getting treated. On top of that, we are on our moderators, because I'm part of JDA Fitness. We have a moderator. We've got a friend of ours. She's a nurse in Birmingham, and she's actually a frontline nurse, and she works in the COVID unit. So I do believe that it's here. I do believe, like Faraside says, I don't know where it started, the politics of it, but that's not the issue at the moment. The issue is how we get out of this. The issue about taking it, I've had this conversation with my wife. Typical, she's like same thing like Sue. I'm not taking it. No way I'm taking it. No way. But I might be we're having this debate with the health and safety reps at the moment, because it might be a situation with us that, in my position, I would have no choice but to take it, or otherwise I don't have a job. So it's a hard one. I'm the main breadwinner, so do I take it or do I pay my bills? So it's, you know,
I think we will be pushed into a corner. I think they'll push you into a corner.
And then this is the thing, right? The thing is, what I don't understand is that if you've had COVID and you've gotten over COVID, then you've made that immune system up. You built it up. So there's no point in implanting the COVID. What I heard tonight on Sky News is we want to vaccinate millions of people each week, but it's not really the second dose we're worried about. We want to make sure that you've got the first dose, okay? That's what they wanted to make sure. The second dose is just like a booster, okay?
Yeah.
But they're saying that they wanted to wait 3 months or so to see what the effects were going to be. So if you've done that for 3 months and you've done a few trials, why do you have to? If no one is, this is the part that I believe the public are missing. If you've done that and you've done trials on a specific amount of people, you want to roll it out before you even know the consequences of that 3 month incubation period. And that's the part that baffles me, that they want to push out, and they don't know the consequences. They're talking about mutation already. Is that mutation from the people that have already had the vaccine? And those that have had the vaccine, are you the carriers that are going to come back? And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not gone that far, has it?
Sorry, do I get close to those who have had the vaccine, or do I steer clear of those people that have had the vaccine? Go ahead, Intelligence.
Yeah, on this note about the vaccine being rolled out, one, I'll just get it out there. I wouldn't be in a hurry to take the vaccine myself, based on the fact that I believe it hasn't been trialed long enough. We keep saying 12 months, but in reality, it's less than that, because we're now in December. So COVID has been with us since February of this year. So they potentially only started working on this vaccine from April. So that reduces the length of time that they've managed to create it, test it, trial it, and so on and so forth. The other point that I wanted to raise is that people I've done some research myself. COVID or coronavirus already existed. Now, it existed insofar as if you go into your bathroom, I'm sure we've all got a bottle of Dettol, you will find that it says Dettol can prevent coronavirus, okay? What I didn't realize is that there are lots of strains of coronavirus stroke COVID, okay? What the issue is this particular COVID, which we refer to now as COVID-19. Now, my personal thoughts are that I believe COVID-19 was released by accident by the scientists in China, in Wuhan. For those people who don't know, in Wuhan, they have a test facility which houses the most dangerous and toxic substances known to man, okay? That is where they were storing the COVID-19 bacteria or virus. Now, I believe that it got out somehow, whether it was deliberate or somebody dropped a test tube or whatever. I believe it got out by mistake. Look at the evidence. China told us, oh, COVID is here. Within 2 months, China managed to lock down their COVID situation. And from then till now, you don't hear what we're hearing every day on the various different news channels about other countries and indeed the UK. So what is it that China has done or doing so specific that they've managed to eradicate it? Yes, I know there is talk of, oh, the Chinese government have locked down the system, so you can't get information from China out about what is going on that's going into their politics. But I definitely believe that COVID is here, but it's a man-made something that they've released by accident, which is why they are focusing on a vaccine. We had SARS, we have, there's another one, we had Ebola, and all of these different type of dangerous viruses that they managed to contain pretty quickly. But this COVID-19 seems to have them worried.
Can I ask something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in relation, my question keeps coming up and it keeps popping up my thought. Let me write into Sky News here. Boris and all of those people that are preaching to us about this so-called vaccine.
And they haven't it.
They haven't had the vaccine.
Well, yeah, this is it. Yeah, that's it.
But why haven't they had the vaccine?
Yeah. Well,
Can I answer a question? Can I answer a question?
Yeah.
How old are you lot who are talking? How many of you lot were actually born here? And how many know about the BCG injection?
Yeah,
That's what I'd like to know.
I had that. Yeah, I had that at school.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did you have it, Kerry?
It's mandatory, isn't it, for our scale? It was mandatory.
I'm asking you the question. Did you have BCG?
Yeah.
All right. Farah, did you have BCG?
Isn't it? Is that the
Have you had it, Farah?
Yeah, I had it as a child. I had it as a child back in Zimbabwe.
You mean
Yeah,
the
did you
rubella?
have BCG?
The rubella one, yes, I did. I did, yeah.
BCG, Susan?
Huh?
When did
I
you
had
give
it,
that
I had
out?
it here.
Because they don't give it out now in this country.
No, but I'm 50, so what year are you talking about? What's
You're
the
50.
BCG?
Yeah, well, I'm 57. So I'm just saying, we don't get it no more in this country.
But what is the
So I believe that
BCG?
we've been already inoculated against all of it.
Right,
So
okay.
I won't be taking anything.
Well, but I still
The BCG, from my loose memory, was something that was required for all of us to have.
every child,
in secondary school, and I believe it was for mumps, tuberculosis, and rubella, and those types of things.
Yeah, we've all had them as child.
Yeah,
we've had
all
polio,
got
we've had it all, immunisations.
Yeah, and that's the other one, polio as well.
Yeah.
That's what I believe it was for. But you know, now more modern times,
But you still get them. You do still get them.
Yeah.
Babies get inoculations. You have to go through all of that as a baby. It's still being done
but
in
they
the UK.
don't get BCG. That's
for
a complete
tuberculosis.
different. No child gets BCG again.
Okay.
And can I just say,
that's what you lot need to know.
Can you hear me?
Why are we not giving out BCG again?
Okay.
That's what I'm asking you.
Talk about some very bad side effects from it. That's why it was stopped.
It was never heard of in my time.
BCG is for tuberculosis, right?
All right. Okay.
That's what it was for tuberculosis.
Yeah, but it's not prevalent in the UK anymore. It's, you know, TB is only in cattle these days. You don't often hear tuberculosis. And there's a cure for tuberculosis. It's medicated.
I think that the issue with TB as well, and you'd probably be able to speak more to this because you're in that neck of the woods, but obviously up north there was a lot of industry, like your steel factories and your coal mining places and that. So it was something that people breathed in as well, from all of the smog from the factories and stuff. So
it says in countries tuberculosis or leprosy is common. 1 dose is recommended in healthy babies.
Right.
So, you know, it's in primarily against tuberculosis in countries where it's common.
Right.
Tuberculosis now in this modern day is not as prevalent as it was back in days, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask you questions, right?
But Barbados is COVID free, so you have to. I have to understand why there's places like that COVID free.
Can I say on that note with Barbados, because my parents have just returned back from there. Basically, they had a really strict policy. Anybody coming in to the country was quarantined at the National Army base and not permitted to go onto the mainland island. And as I say, you know, as you rightly point out, they are still COVID free. There was only one case which came from the UK, and they found it by testing the individual as they got off the plane, and they were kept for the 14 days in quarantine and sent straight back. So that you know, it just I don't understand. Like, so, there's a lot of small countries that just seem to be immune from it. whether or not it's governments acting quicker than others, or people, you know, acting more irresponsibly than others. I mean, you know, we have to face it that over here, people said, right, you've got to wear your masks, and the students took off their mask and went out, and they were 5,000 and 10,000 strong, having their street parties and all the rest of it. So I think that also got a lot to do with it as well.
Right, okay.
I was going to add to that. It's like, as I said, my wife's gone over to Grenada. There, she had to get tested before leaving in England.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she got over there, everyone that comes in to Grenada, they have to be going into a hotel for 10 days.
Yes.
And to be isolated. So the thing is, a lot of these islands are small, so the government can't afford to have a huge breakout.
Mm.
And to answer your question about discipline and everything, I think, well, bear in mind, it's relevant what I'm about to say. Well, last time I went to Grenada, going to Carnival, you got signed in a police station. It's like, if you break the rules, you get lashes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So even in a country at this day and age, the police, you can still get lashes. And I think it's just that there's a lot more respect towards authority and the law,
yes,
than what there is in this country. And I think when you look at,
well, you know what, I hear what you're saying, but you can't all blame the young people, and you can't. And at the end of the day, that's why they call it COVID-19, because it came out in 2019, not 2020.
okay.
And if our government had acted in the way that they should have acted way before you allowed the big massive spread, before you decided to lock down on March 21st of this year, you should have been locking down from since 2019.
Yeah, I know, and that's hindsight. If you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I think it's dealing with it now, and how, as individuals, we can all protect our close ones and our families, and hope.
Yeah, but then sending children back to school isn't protecting them.
No, you're right.
And telling people that this household and that household can't mix and all of these kind of things. It's okay to do one thing, then it ain't okay to do the next. I mean, it's very confusing.
Are you looking, Susan? that is mentally disturbing what is going on. And sorry, can we just break this down as well, because there's a few things that I do want to cover. The school thing, you're absolutely right on, because these children are not guinea pigs. If you're going to protect them, you protect them where you are. But when you're sending them out to a place, you don't know where the teacher was the night before, who she was having an affair with, or he was having an affair with, vice versa. You don't know. You don't know.
Even the child, because it's the children that carry whatever they carry.
But this is the part that gets me. Children's immune systems are lower than ours.
Right.
No, they're not.
We've had
children's immune systems are better than ours, because we've had vaccines 50 years ago. They've only had vaccine 12 years ago, 8 years ago. So their immune system is more robust than our immune system. Our immune system is wearing off because we had vaccinations many, many years ago. Theirs are still fresh, really. If they're under 15, their vaccination is 15 years old. So it's probably more stronger to cope with a virus than what you and I would cope with a virus.
Okay.
So we've been dealing with vaccines since we've been born then, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
I think what they should have done, as Susan said, is lock it down from the beginning. There's been too much intermittent lockdown. Oh, Manchester is on lockdown, but Birmingham isn't. I think, given, I can understand the Prime Minister's predicament. By having everything closed, you know, people are losing their businesses and all the rest of it. I understand all of that. But I do think we, as a society in this country, we cannot carry on like kids not at school, parents not at work, businesses closing, this, that, and all the rest of it. Just lock it down. Just lock it down. Stay in your house. And whilst we're all in our house, like I see or have seen in other countries where it was really bad, like Italy, there were people, I don't know whoever they were, but they were in their chemical suits and they had disinfectant, and they were going around the streets, you know, all the main
Spraying
public
it,
places,
yeah.
spraying phone boxes, bus stations. They sprayed everything they could whilst people stayed at home. I've not seen that here in the UK. You know, stay at home and that's it. Now, if you remember rightly, in the first lockdown, apparently the virus can live on surfaces for up to 2.
Then that can't be a virus.
Well,
How can I mean, I'm not very intelligent, but I did biology at school.
okay.
And I can't understand. I've never heard of a virus living on a surface. I've heard of bacteria can live on a surface up to how many days. That's why I keep saying to myself, how is this viral?
Okay, again, like yourself, I'm not a scientist. However, for me, the concept of seeing people out there doing something other than just saying stay home.
Can I interject here? Because I want to interject here because the biggest thing that I feel that is missing here is that relationships. And the reason why I want to go into relationships is that you said lock it down, knock it down. Mentally, it's disturbing everybody, all right? So mentally, this isn't right for anyone, okay? Second of all, you heard tonight, and the reason why I want to say lock it down, these children are suffering without parents, without the guidance of parents, because nowadays, you've got different households. So therefore, what's going on is, mother says, no, you can't see the children, vice versa. It's now screwing the population apart. Okay, you've got the elderly that also not being able to see their parents or whatever is now tearing them apart and screwing them over mentally. You've got us having to make choices on Boxing Day and Christmas Day of when and who you can see, so it's screwing over us mentally. You heard today, I'm like panic mode. I'm like, oh, not this again. Just hearing it, because if I don't switch it on, I don't know anything. But when you hear, oh, you've got a support bubble, well, everybody's my support bubble. They're my friends. But what you're saying is, all right, we can go see our support bubble then. We'll just class them as a support bubble then. What I think they're doing is giving you freedom of choice. Unwittingly, you're the one making up the rules because you're sticking to what they feel is let's keep safe. In actual fact, it's actually tearing people up mentally and killing them off mentally. They're not coping. If it was one rate,
can I just say then, in relation to that, then we live in practically safe times, if I can put it like that. We're not living under the threat of nuclear fallout like we were in the 60s. So let's assume that one country lets a nuclear bomb off now tomorrow, and we're told that because of the weather, the radiation is going to come this way, and we're all going to, it's all going to kill us off. If the Prime Minister stood up tonight and said, this has happened over in this country, stay home, we'd all stay home.
Yes, but because you can hold on a minute.
We would stay home. And
hold on a minute.
Not all of us, you know.
Hold on. I'm making an important point here. Yesterday, there was a 6.5 magnitude earthquake in Croatia. Does anybody know that?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Now, most of the country, which is a very old type of town, you know, it's not earthquake proof. It's buildings that are 200 and 300 years old, that they've all been leveled. Those people there now don't have the ability to stay home, but they're still living under the same COVID issues that we have. So I think, you know, had the Prime Minister locked it down and taken more stringent steps and enforced it better, what I'm saying is, if there was any bacteria or any virus, it should have dissipated. That's what I'm saying.
So my point to you, comparing this vaccine to earthquakes and nuclear, right? The problem is here is that you can visibly see those destructions. What you're asking of the public is to put their faith into some little box of medication, and think that everybody's all right. We all have different bodies and different immune systems. We're all different. We're all different cultures, for starters. Many people won't suffer from XYZ, like sickle cell. White people won't suffer from sickle cell, but the black people will suffer from sickle cell. Now, you know, our bodies are not built up. We're all built up differently. So how can you inoculate us with the same stuff? Because I'm not a guinea pig, all right? I ain't a guinea pig, and I'm not stupid either. I think at the end of the day, what I heard tonight, subliminal messages, and that's what you got to listen out for. What I heard tonight was that even if you took the vaccine, they are still going to have you on restrictions and lockdowns away from your relatives, your parents, your friends, your families, everything. So if you had a room full of people that are vaccinated, you are still going to be on the same restrictions as everybody else. Therefore, seems to me that there's no guarantee for the freedom of the vaccine. And what we're faced with is this self-isolation, which then becomes self-mutilation in many aspects. A lot of domestic violence that comes into play. A lot of children that are suffering now from perhaps they're online and they're getting bullied as well. So alternative measures to reaching out and coming to people, and they want us to come to people on a digital world rather than be in
my view is as well, with all this lockdown, if you're going to lock down, I think you need to say to the world, prepare. No food shops open, nothing open, get your supplies in, and act like we're in war and you're on rations.
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Nothing to see you through 18 days.
And that's what I thought we would do, but that's not happening. When they say lockdown, what was going on is the people behind the shops working behind the tills have no vaccine.
And they could be spreading it.
And they're interacting with people more. So when they go home with the children, off we go again. So lockdown.
Yeah. A lockdown should be everything is locked down.
If they gave you a choice. If they gave you
like a blackout, let's have a blackout for 18 days and make sure everybody's had no symptoms, and then you can come out into the fresh air. Do you know what I mean?
But
lockdown is no lockdown if we are having people going out. Whether you're going to work or not going to work, you are a human being, which means you can catch the virus. I'm just thinking of where I work. I get to the place, I swap with somebody. They don't even check if I have it or not. I'm there for a week, for 2 weeks. When I leave, I come home. Nobody checks if I'm okay or not. And we have been family visiting their relatives, talking through windows and rubbish like that. They're letting me in as if
do you live in with an elderly person?
Well, it's not necessarily elderly. I deal with all age groups. I just work with vulnerable people with different conditions in their houses. So it doesn't matter what age it is. What I'm trying to say is I walk in there and I'm allowed in because I'm a frontline worker.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm immune to the virus.
Yeah.
When I'm off, I'm at home. My son goes to work and comes back. He goes to see his friend and comes back. And if we all doing that, who is to guarantee that just because I'm a frontline worker, then I'm safe?
That's right.
Yeah.
I think you people.
I've had to watch people who are not well mentally have to look at their relatives through a window, talking through a window, and I'm sitting with them, a total stranger. When the relatives leave, they are crying, they are emotionally, affected by it. They're getting depressed. And people are just talking about, isolate.
And that's the number one.
It's not foolproof.
And again, the vaccine.
Have the lockdown, it's going to be 100% lockdown.
Yeah, and I think that again, the vaccine, it's not. I don't think it's a drug that's just been made up.
Have to be
one at a time. I feel that Yeah, it's a choice, and it will always be a choice.
The virus, like somebody said, the virus is something that I think was spilled out by mistake. And whatever it is they were working on, even the vaccination, they probably have been working on it for a long time. And unfortunately, when this all came down, then they had to seem like they're shuffling. Well, actually, they probably were shuffling, because then they all of a sudden had to make use of whatever whatever vaccine they were working on. They had to then be releasing it very quickly, because that virus came out by mistake. And it's just, there's no foolproof. I think people are now going to end up dying of other things, and then it's gonna be called the dying from coronavirus. Because if your mental health is not okay, your immunity system is damaged.
Down. And that
whether you take a vaccine or not, mental health issues, they destroy your immunity system. So it's gonna be just it's like that.
Can I just say that you're on point on that one, because I actually watched another video the other day, and they were right, and I mentioned the vitamin D, you see the vitamin D that we actually kind of really do need, and that's the outdoors, the great outdoors. And the thing is, if you say the vitamin D, the guy was saying it's actually part of your hormone, you see, that's why you need it. So if you don't get outside and do something, then yes, the mental health plummets. Perhaps that's a hidden agenda, because at the end of the day, this, the mental health service people tell you this. And if you said that we could all have space bubbles and go and cuddle and love one another, then I'm sure we would take that option to spend time with our loved ones if it was that serious. But they're not allowing us to have a space bubble, or people can go and buy it or whatever else. Take every precaution come like space, doesn't it? Getting your space suits out, spray you all down before you can speak to somebody. Perhaps if we do the sterilizing thing, it's about the restrictions. And I feel that these restrictions, how long can they do it for? But it's up to them how long they do it for. It is them that are ruining their own countries.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's what's happening. You're stealing people's businesses. Then they're going to rely on the government now for that for that contribution, towards their birth certificate, that we were entitled to. Let me put it that way. So therefore, at the end of the day, when you have to rely on it, see, Jay, what you said to me is, when you're working for somebody else, that's the choice that you might have. Take the vaccine, because I actually heard they were saying that you will be tested, people that are carers and things like that. So you don't think about that, because half the world is looking after somebody else, not just the NHS. There are carers out there. They're going into people's houses every single day and chopping over hands, as you said, Farasai saying. So Jay, when you take...
I wrote an article about it, because they're all focused on NHS. But there's so many frontline workers working in so many parts of the health sector that they haven't mentioned not once, like what I do. It's not been mentioned. And I've been walking in and out of people's houses,
and that's what
I was signed an immunity, I was signed an immunity just because of what I do.
Can I say...
And people get surprised that this thing is spreading like that.
Can I say on that note also, for argument's sake, when you're talking about key workers or frontline workers, police officers are frontline officers. Now, despite COVID and all whatever else is going on, crime has not gone away. So, you go outside and your car's been vandalized, you have to call a police officer, okay? He or she turns up. You don't know whether they've been tested or not. They may be wearing their mask. I think if there was a big push to make all frontline persons, whether police, ambulance or fire, whoever you may be, take this vaccine, I think a lot of people would denounce that thought. There would be, I'd say, at least 50% of them wouldn't take it.
I think there's a lot of
That's
people
my
that
opinion.
will take it in the
Oh yeah, there is.
communities.
Yeah, oh yeah,
There's
there
loads
is.
of people that want it.
I've heard people say.
And
they
I
would
don't
take
think
it.
it's a new drug. I think this is, you know, when there's trials with new drugs, trials for new things, to find new things, they try all of the drugs that they've got and they make a mixture of it, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
And I do believe that, you know, if you've read what actually the vaccine was and then Google it, you'll see that it's also used for other things.
Yes.
So it's already out there, but they've played about with it.
I think
Nobody's died from it,
in
so
that,
to speak.
thing, Liz, and you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. There is this current scandal at the moment with is it Primidos, which was the contraceptive pill that was given to ladies in the late 60s and early 70s, which has then now, with the children that were born as a result of that, had all these severe.
Wasn't that flumidomide when it was morning sickness? They were given a drug for morning sickness, which caused abnormalities.
Yeah, that's correct.
Flumidomide.
But it wasn't only that; it was actually the contraceptive pill as well.
Yeah, which is Primidos. They just yesterday were debating what should happen going forward, because the company, which the name slips me now, they've changed hands several times. It's a German company. I think they're called Bayer, but they were called something else beforehand. They don't want to accept all of the findings, and there's people that have been out there for the last 50 years trying to get, you know, compensation for their children who, you know, they thought they were having a normal child. And I watched just last night around about this time on Sky, somebody who's got a son who's like 54, and they've cared for him all of his life because he's just a vegetable. So you've got that going on, which happened way back when, you know, in the 60s. And they were told, yeah, come and take it, it's fine, come and take it. And now we're here in the COVID.
I know, and I think, but I do think we've moved on a lot since then as well.
Yeah, we have, but I do think it's even for me, it's accountability, because.
But
you know,
under who? Who have we moved on with? With people like who and Bill Gates and.
Well, see, that's the point that I'm making.
I don't want Fauci and all of them lot vaccine. I don't want nothing to do with them people.
I just have to ask. I'm going to leave this on a final note, really, because, you know, it's very clear that none of you are in a hurry to take this vaccine. It's very clear. You know, your head, Jim.
I just want to add something to all this. I mean, what I find really strong thing about this, the government itself. I mean, you got countries like South Korea and New Zealand and everything. Why isn't the government taking an example for those countries that's managed to contain it and manage it and everything? Now, if the government was sincere, they would have taken advice from other countries to treat its population.
To be honest, we could, because we haven't got any borders. We are an island, and we are in the best position to shut everything around us.
Yeah, and then the other point is, it's like when you had the first lockdown and everybody was going after the toilet roll. I don't see any sense to that, and then got all the vitamin section all full up and everything. You would think that it's about education. The government should educate them people to go
out and buy some supplements and start taking them.
They're eating well, and the immune system. Even locking down the gyms. I just do not understand that. Because when you're training, you boost your immune system.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's your mental health as well. All that I don't. If the government was more responsible, and I says, you know, but they let the pubs open, yeah, and then they shut the gym. That don't make no sense.
That made no sense. That made no sense. At all.
Yeah, but it's probably a drinker that made those rules in the first place. Anyway, so.
You have to remember that the government is led by people who
just know how to lead countries. They're not scientifically trained.
No.
Well, you
And
know
they're
what?
making choices without
Exactly, because
consulting relevant
while
people.
Britain is an
So,
island, so is Barbados and the Caribbean an island,
Mhm.
and they still lock it down.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the whole world.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
When we first went into lockdown, right, there was a lot of people who went into lockdown, properly went into lockdown. I know I was certainly one of them. My children, nobody was allowed out my household. And let me tell you, when I went out to go and get shopping, I don't see no black people out on the street, but I see a load of other people out on the street. So there was a lot of people that was not taking no notice of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So now it's got to the stage now where it's reversed.
Mhm.
There are people now that not taking no notice of it.
You know why? Can I
All
be
them
one of
lot
the?
doing their rubbish, they were not leading by example.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Right? All those who were in position of power were not leading by example.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
now you've got a whole majority, particularly young people now, who say sod that,
I think.
and you can't keep them in.
Can I? I don't know if you lot can hear me or not.
I
It's
can.
hard to get a word in today. Can I just point out that there was another article that some people are dying of cancer. You know what I mean? Some people are dying, full stop. And so therefore, when you have the option to write, you're not actually really giving them an option to how they want to die, really, are you? Really, or whatsoever. If you're dying, the way I always look at it is live life until you've got no last breath in your body. You know what I mean? And the way that they're shutting it down, it feels like that. I think they're not shutting it down. The people's decisions are doing it, and I'm not seeing those that are pointing the finger and telling people to do it. I'm not seeing them first in line taking no vaccine. I'm not seeing them leading by example, and therefore, one thing I believe, this is where I believe that it shows it's not making any sense. And every now and again, they'll bring in somebody quite famous or whatever and say, oh, they're going to take it. They're going to take it. Yeah, but is Boris taking it?
No, like our mayor, Sadi. He was taking the vaccine, but yet still the cork was still on the bloody needle. What's all that about?
Yeah, there's been a few of those. Yeah.
And the woman that gave the first vaccine to the old lady, she didn't have no gloves on giving her the vaccine.
That's right. Yeah. I've seen that as well. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things and a lot of speculation and skeptical things going on, but it's a suck it and see and wait. It's a waiting game and see how it pans out. And it's up to common sense of individuals to keep themselves safe and put precautions in place and live your life as best you can under those conditions.
And don't forget your latex.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I've got to go now, guys.
Right, yeah, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for this. Next time we'll just like say hello. Be going, but it was a nice debate and a nice discussion today. And ladies, your hard work to get my voice in, to you strong voice out there, you Liz and Susan have a very strong voice. You know, that's good. So when we give you a hot topic debate, which topic would you like to discuss and take the floor with it?
Oh, don't know.
I've got a long list.
Yeah, I'd like to do topic, but it's got to be something that you like. Liz, you talked a lot. You talked about your stuff. I've got a friend here. You're very knowledgeable and all of those things. You could just randomly talk for England. You can, yeah. So that's quite nice. And again, you know, Susan, you can talk too for England. I know Jay, you can. Fariso's not feeling too good, and I know she's good. And you're all brilliant at talking, but I think we should talk a bit more about topics. So if you can think of anything that you think that
I want to talk a bit more about love.
Pardon?
That's what I'd like to talk a bit more about.
About what?
About love.
Love.
Where's all the love gone?
Love.
Oh, love. Yes, definitely.
Save that for the next one.
Definitely.
Where is the love? Where
Yeah,
I'm not
where's all the
sure.
love gone?
Time to go.
Oh, okay then. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
All right.
See you next week.
Okay. See you later.
Fabulous meeting you all.
All right.
And you. Bye-bye.